As Luis mentioned, we did a session in early 2019, February or March time last year as a breakfast session to talk about B2B digital marketing and digital marketing landscape in China. 1.5 years passed, a lot of things has changed, as you could imagine. And especially when you are operating in a digital world, like what we are currently having to do or doing now, it's very important for you to look into different perspectives in how you run marketing digitally. And if you used to run it offline, how can you run it digitally now? So before we dive into how we do this, a little bit update on the new trends and a little bit update on the market on the other side. So if you look at China B2B market, it's actually recovering. So here I used the IPI, so Industrial Production Index data, to eliminate the retailer factor from the macroeconomic growth. But if you look at this, starting from April, the China IPI data has already recovered. And in August, it achieved 5.6% growth. So this is actually a very positive sign in my eyes to show that the B2B market in China is actually recovering. So if you compare that to the rest of the globe, I would say if you are operating in China already, then it can become your growth engine for the rest of the year or even early 2021 before everywhere else picked up again. And if you look at how people are thinking in China, especially B2B decision makers, the right-hand side, this is the data showing that Chinese people, Chinese B2B decision makers are more optimistic than other countries. So this is a research or a survey that was done by McKinsey in April and also in August again. This was April data. So when you look at the data back then in April, that if you look at China here, which was a gray pillar, the B2B decision makers are actually more optimistic about the economy, about the recovery in general. So how this coronavirus has impacted B2B marketing in China. It's almost the same as everywhere else. Basically, we go digital. So the preference is now 1.7 times more than traditional sales interactions to go more digital. So usually there are two ways. This on the left-hand side are just two examples that we did as Crayfish. So firstly, every event, every meeting as we are currently doing now is going online, and also a lot of purchase and deals are actually happening online. I will share the detail later. And the effectiveness of the new marketing and sales model seem to work as effective as it is before, and this trend continues to grow. So if you look at the data in April, only 51% of people thinking this digital way of doing things is as effective or more so compared to prior to COVID-19. And this percentage actually grows to 81% in August survey. So this means that people are getting more used to doing things digitally, not just marketing, but also sales, and also the conversion is also happening online. This is a chart to show that not only, as I mentioned, the marketing is happening online, the deals and the sales are happening online as well. So this is a chart showing the source of revenue before and during COVID-19. So if you look at the data now, the traditional way of meeting in person, signing the deal in person, doing this by phone actually decreased a lot as expected. So 53% decrease, while the other ways of doing things and making the deals happening are actually replacing the traditional way, which is a digital way. There are three main ways that I would like us to look at. The first one is through video conference. This includes sales reps interacting with customers via Zoom or Chinese using Tencent video to talk to each other, and also through online chat. And the other very important thing is through the digital service channel, which is actually very interesting, because before, a lot of people are saying that it's very difficult to do B2B sales online, especially through the way of e-commerce, where you actually put the products online and then people buy directly. However, the COVID-19 actually accelerates the change from marketing online and doing the deals offline to actually to put the whole cycle, conversion cycle online. And another very interesting data is this is not just for low value purchase. If you look into this, 80% of the decision makers saying that they are actually making, they're actually spending more than $50,000 online through e-commerce channel. So back in April or March time, some of our clients asked me to say that if you think that we should develop an e-commerce channel online for our Chinese consumers, back then I would say that it can be your second step. But now, if you are thinking doing business with Chinese consumers or with Chinese customers, then it's a good time to have an e-commerce strategy as well. And this is going digital. Another very unfortunate thing is everyone knows B2B marketing budget is already quite low if you compare that to B2C marketing. And this is cut even further due to the lower growth rate across the globe. It's the same in China. So if you look at different industries and different services, and also basically, if you look across industries, almost everyone is cutting their marketing budget. The ones that are doing a little bit better are software and telecom and banking and insurance. This is the data in China. So having this in mind, you need to go digital at the same time the budget is lower in your pocket. What should you do? And in terms of, if you look, diving deeper into the B2B digital marketing ways of doing things, what works better? If you look at the digital self-service e-commerce functions and directed functions, the growth way, so the darker bar on this chart is the 2019 data. The lighter blue is the 2020 data. The one with significant growth is information on mobile app and websites and social media, and also search. So these four ways actually are replacing the traditional, going to a conference, customer referral, going to a trade show, face-to-face visit to your client. And this means that the traditional way of doing marketing, if you are still thinking that somehow we could recover, this trend might stay for a while. So that means you have to empower your digital team within your company as well. And there is a new trend in China now, which is called interactive content, and it actually exists across the marketing journey. So from low participation to high participation, from the low value chain to moving to the high value chain. So phase one here is basically saying that the participation level is low, meaning that it's the first step when your customer actually finds you, or you actually reaches out to your customer. This includes 360-degree videos, infographic to make it more interactive. And phase two is actually live streaming, interactive short videos. And phase three, it includes, asking them to do self-assessments to actually help you with the conversion. These are just two examples of interactive content in China. On the left-hand side is the live streaming through WeChat mini program. The live streaming has become a trend in China in B2C market back in 2019. It was almost like TV direct selling, but happening on internet. So instead of calling the TV channel to actually make the order for you, you can actually do the order directly online. And on the right-hand side is Ali Cloud's account in Chinese TikTok, Douyin. And this is, and also I use GE as example as well. So basically it's 10 to 15 seconds video, sometimes making fun of your CEOs, and it's just light and very visual content to link with your customer more emotionally. This is actually a very interesting trend in B2B market starting from 2020 after COVID-19, meaning that if you can't meet your buyers, how do you actually position the emotional or personal identity with and present it to your customer, present it to your clients? However, not all of these efforts are very effective. Just to give you one example, the live streaming one, a lot of B2B marketeers were suspicious about it. I think that the suspicion is very valid. To be honest, when I first saw this, I was in doubt myself. I was like, who is going to buy a £10,000 equipment from a live streaming where you haven't met them, you haven't done a proper DD? How do you do this? One example was in Canton Fair this year, in April or June, which was traditionally a very big exporting and importing exhibition happening in Guangdong, China. They actually did it virtually this year, and they opened up a live streaming venue for a lot of suppliers in China to basically present their products and asking people to buy. However, the traffic was really low. So some of the live streaming rooms received only 10, 15 people visit, with only 2 to 3 people asking for price. So it didn't work quite well back then. So, and the same happened with short videos. As a traditional B2B company, it was very difficult for a lot of companies to consistently produce high quality short videos. So the account was set up and you posted very actively for a month, then the account went to idle. So this was just 2 examples of, if you couldn't use these tools very smartly or very proactively, then it won't work for you. So what does go digital really mean for B2B marketing in China? Everyone knows that we are going digital. However, 73% of the respondents think that digital marketing doesn't perform as well as they expected. They still prefer that they go offline to visit their clients. They still prefer that they have big exhibition. I'm not saying that I'm proposing that doing digital marketing can replace your offline marketing completely, but like it or not, the trend is here and we have to face it for maybe the next at least 1 year. So how to do it more effectively and how to do it more efficiently becomes the question in the room. To do that, I would say that you have to understand going digital is not just adapting new tools, following the new trendy tools in China that comes up and goes now and then. It means that you have to profoundly understand what this means to your organization, not just marketing. So for example, internally, does your company have the setup to embrace this digital marketing thing? So for example, if you do digital marketing very efficiently, but your sales team can't actually identify which leads are more effective to them, or they actually can't feed back to the marketing team if their marketing effort is worth it, then it means it will be very difficult for the marketing team to improve. So it means internally, the digital marketing trend means that your company has to be more digitalized, and externally, it means firstly you need to understand who you are talking to in China, how you should form your digital marketing strategy. Then it comes to what tools can you use. So philosophy first, and then methodology and tools always come at the last. So to understand the Chinese digital world, Chinese consumers nowadays, or Chinese customers nowadays, live in a very highly fragmented world. It means that people are actually spending their time in all different apps, in all different websites, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 40 minutes per day on them. And they basically distribute their time very dynamically. So if you look at this chart, on the horizontal axis is monthly active users. On the vertical axis is monthly average user growth rate. So social media is becoming digital. So basically everyone is spending a lot of time on their social media, almost, 73 minutes and sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours as well. And short video, although it's quite short here, it's 33 minutes. However, the growth rate of it is really high. And people get distracted constantly on mobile. The mobile penetration rate in China is already 95%. It means that almost everyone has a mobile phone in China. So if your marketing strategy is only existing on PC end, it's a time that you need to think about what's your strategy on mobile end as well. And another very interesting funding from myself and also from a lot of B2B marketeers in China is it used to be the B2B customer and B2C consumer, and the difference between them is quite obvious. However, nowadays, a B2B customer is actually evolving into a B2B consumer. So basically, every person you talk to, in their real world, apart from 8 hours in their working time, they are still a consumer of data. They are still a consumer of the digital behaviors. So basically, it means they are expecting to see more what they say in B2C world, in B2B world as well. So if you look at the B2B customer, traditionally, you know their name pretty early in the stage, especially when you do ABM marketing. That means that you basically know the name right from the beginning, and you know how to engage them, and you can personalize the content that you promote to them. And the B2B customer in our mind is quite rational. They look for data, they look for fact, they look for, if you can do it or not. They need the evidence. And the decision-making process is usually quite interdependent. It is usually, sometimes if you are a SaaS model, if you are operating a SaaS model, the end user usually is not the one who makes the decision to actually purchase the product for them. So the decision-making process is interdependent, and it's a very long conversion cycle. It's even more so in China, especially when it moves to the negotiation stage. So Chinese people like to do negotiations. So when it comes to the making contracts and doing the negotiation process, it can take really long, and sometimes it seems not very effective in British people's eyes, but this is how things are done in China. And once you get this B2B customer, usually they are quite loyal to you, because the cost to change the provider is quite high before. But if you look at what's the current trend is as B2B consumer in China, firstly, you really got to know them at very late stage of their conversion cycle. So meaning that basically they would like to stay anonymous as long as possible. So there's survey showing that 50 or 60% of B2B decision makers, they would rather stay anonymous for maybe until the conversion stage, then they expose themselves. And this actually doing things digitally actually empowers this even more. So if they would like to stay as anonymous as long as possible to be anonymous, and you are trying to get their name out in very early stage, when you actually ask them to download a thing or ask them to register, you have to be really clever and really smart to give them something that they really want, to actually ask them to expose themselves. And they are becoming more emotional. So apart from just evidence and facts, they are looking for the brand that they can trust. They are finding a more, I would say, more dynamic, more energetic brand to work with. Part of the reason is because a lot of millennials are working into the more important roles in B2B decision-making process. And they are so used to consume data digitally, and they are so used to do things in a B2C way. So just to give you one example, the new B2B buyers look for almost the same online and mobile experiences and features that they encounter as consumers. They want, for example, enhanced search functionality, rating and reviews, personalized product, service recommendations, and a very consistent experience across online and offline touchpoints. So basically, they are using the standards where they basically experience in B2C world to measure the B2B suppliers. What doesn't change is the decision is still interdependent, and it's still a long conversion cycle, but the loyalty becomes lower and lower. Competition is quite high in B2B world, and also because of the more and more SaaS model, it's not very difficult for them to change the provider. So it's very important for marketing team to step in as well to help them maintain the high loyalty together with the sales team. And after you know who they are, and after you do the profiling of your customers, it's very important that you tailor your marketing strategy based on different stages. So here is the classical marketing funnel. We have awareness, interest, consideration, intent, evaluation, and purchase. And the marketing purpose, the first two, awareness and interest, is for the marketeers to educate the market. And then the second one is to provide the solution. And last one is to help make the choice. And you should have different content focus and different strategy for each stage. So for example, for educate the market, you need to point out the issues, the challenges, the pinpoints, and the results if they don't change. And then for provide the solutions, you need to tackle the specific issue that the client has, then link the solution to the demand, then link the solution to the demand. And when you help them to make the choice, you need to help the sales team to persuade them. Now, before there's a clear line when we say marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads, and when marketing actually pass the leads over to sales team. Nowadays, I would say that line is blurred as well. So a lot of conversions in China are actually happening by the marketing team and sales team teamed up together. So especially when you do digital marketing, when you educate the market, the input from the sales team is vital. So what are the normal pain points that your target audiences usually face? And then you design the content around those issues and challenges. And when you reach out to them, before traditionally it's marketing's job. So we actually identify who are the possible target audiences, and then we reach out to them. However, a lot of this now in China, because of the mobile-led trend, and people are using WeChat enterprise accounts, a lot of the sales team actually using the content from the marketing team, and they reach out to the clients themselves because they know how to basically seamlessly get the leads back and then evaluate together with the marketing team, especially when it comes to the help make the choice stage. It's actually a combination work of marketing and sales, and sometimes even your product team as well. And in terms of why content is very, very important, and why we are talking about content focus here a lot in this B2B marketing strategy, is because people are actually searching actively online, and people are asking around digitally as well. B2B business they only over halfway through buying process before they contact you. So this just shows that 57% of their investment of time is already done before they actually expose themselves to you. So it's very important you are there when they search for you, and you are there when people are asking around about you. And where do they get the information? In different tiers of cities, there are different trends. This is a chart to show how Chinese consumers actually consume data and where they find the information. What they do by search, they do it's through Baidu and search engines, and they do search nowadays on WeChat as well. And on community end, Zhihu is actually becoming a more and more important channel for B2B marketeers, which I'm going to talk about later. And what content are they interested in? This is another chart to show in different stages. So educate the market, provide solution, help make the choice. Which way of doing marketing, which way of content are they more interested? A lot of us like to get our CEOs or CTOs, CMOs to talk to the clients, or to basically present the products. But however, the deployed content, the blue bar shows that yes, a lot of people are doing that. However, it doesn't really matter that much to the clients. What they really care about is, as you can see here, how do you actually showcase your product together with your sales team? And if you provide free trial of your products, do you provide online webinar with suppliers? And if you look at here, mobile apps, this data, as you can tell, is from 2017. Mobile apps here was still not as important as it is now. But if you think about the data that I showed, that McKinsey did, the mobile app growth almost 50%, 60% of times as important as it was before. So it means that getting yourself right in front of your audiences across the different mobile apps, doing the online webinar with suppliers, using the right techniques to show the product with your BD team, giving it a personal touch, and then offer free trial at the last stage to convert them. Are actually more important as getting your CEO to do a video or to talk to them. And how they want to be communicated. Before it was conferencing, and before it was basically calling them, sending a post and doing some networking. Now it's more about using WeChat, using mobiles, and how do you do it digitally. So if you look at what are the major communication tools that people are using in B2B, and if you look at across different tier cities, almost 90% of the B2B decision makers are using WeChat. So it's very important to make sure that when you do business with China, you understand, wow, how WeChat can help you, not just for yourself to communicate with your potential buyers individually, but how can it help you as a company to communicate with your target audiences. Does this mean that you have to create loads of content? Because a lot of our clients ask us that we only have 2 people in marketing team. I couldn't keep up with the creation of the content. My answer is you can keep creating new content all the way, but there is another way that how you do this is that you create 5 to 10 pieces of what we call cornerstone content, and you keep using it in different ways, and you keep using it in different stages. So for example, the same piece of content, let's say it's a thought leadership report, you can use it you can post it online as a blog, you can do a press release, and you can use the same content to do a webinar. And after people are getting interested in it, you can actually use the same content to do online workshop or the report to ask them to download. By then, you can ask for their name, their company, to ask them to expose themselves to you. And in the purchase stage, it can be tweaked a little bit for sales team, and basically it can act as an internal training material for your sales team to talk to the client. And the advantage of reusing it is, firstly, very obviously, you are delivering consistent message across all your marketing channels. And because you are repeating it very smartly here and there, it means that your ISU ranking can get high as well. So this is just one tactic that I would like to introduce to you. So after you have the content, after you know what to and where and what to do, what are the basic tools that you should understand when you do B2B marketing in China? So firstly, you need to have a Chinese website. And then apart from the Chinese website, you need to have a WeChat or Weibo official account. With the Chinese website, you should do a little bit SEO, you should definitely do SEO. And if you have enough budget, you should also do some SEM. And for the companies who really want to go extra mile, you can create a Zhihu account, and also you can basically create a Chinese linking account and using linking to talk to your buyers as well. So I'm going through it. I'm going through some of these channels just to make sure that I cover some of the basics for your Chinese B2B marketing. Firstly, it's about the website. This is just to show you how different it looks for a Chinese website against a British or Western website. On the left-hand side is QQ.com, which is the news website in China. On the right-hand side is BBC. This just shows how different it is when you look at Chinese website and Western websites. On the left-hand side, you can see there is much more information, much more links, and also the color is more vibrant. On the one single screen, it's information overloaded, I have to say. On the right-hand side, you can see there's barely 3 pieces of news, but on the left-hand side, it's almost 20, 25, I would say. So as I said, it's busier, there's more links, more colorful, more information. And if you go to some other websites, it even has flash and animations, and a lot of them have QR code. This one doesn't have it, but some of the QQ website does have the QR code on top of the page. I think there are two key differences that results this. The first one is language difference. Chinese language, sometimes it requires more characters to deliver the same meaning as precise as Chinese, as English. So there's usually much more content on Chinese website. And another biggest difference is a culture difference. So for example, in Chinese culture, it's high context culture, meaning that we prefer to get as much information as possible before we make any action, before we make any decision. So we like to absorb and observe what surrounds us, and then going to the next phase. However, in Western culture, it's a little bit lower context than Chinese culture. It usually means the communication is more efficient, and the way that people construct the ideas is very logical. So that's why you see there's so much information, so much more information on Chinese websites. To reflect more on that, this is just to show how different it is from different perspectives. So navigation-wise, this is a comparison between Amazon China website and Amazon.co.uk website. If you look at the navigation on Chinese website, as you can see here, it's more horizontal, but in English one, in British one, it's actually more vertical. So this is how Chinese people browse the website. Instead of browsing it vertically, because of the high context culture, we prefer to browse it horizontally. So a lot of the navigation is designed in a horizontal way. And the content structure is the same. Chinese websites tend to fully utilize page space for content. But if you compare that to the Western pages where you leave a lot of white space and graphics, that's a huge difference. So this is just a comparison between Booking.com and StreetTrip.com of traveling websites. And the color difference. Chinese people tend to use much more lively and lighter color on their websites. And when you use different colors, they usually have different meanings in Chinese culture. So for example, I wouldn't use a whole black website. as when you do localization, if your brand color is black and here in the UK, it's definitely acceptable, it's cool. But if you do the same in China, sometimes people don't prefer it because it's sometimes black means death and darkness. That's just one quick example. So when you do website localization, instead of just purely translating your website, you need to think about if there's anything that I need to change based on design-wise, based on the culture difference between China and the West. When you have the website, then your next step is to do SEO and SEM. Not like Google. Basically, Google is a global search engine, meaning that it doesn't give any priority to any language. If you look at Baidu, it's really, really strong in China. 65%, 70% of the market share. It prefers Chinese, basically, because it's a search engine that almost only used in Chinese mainland. So if your website is still in English, then the ranking of it in Baidu won't be great. So Baidu prefers Chinese language. And server location does matter. So if your server is located in the US or the UK, the loading speed probably in China will be slowly because of the existence of the firewall. So Baidu definitely prefers servers that's located in China. However, that usually requires ICP. So you need the help from the third party, or you need to basically host your server near China, like in Hong Kong. And domain names is actually a little bit myth currently. Baidu, before it says, definitely it prefers the domain names ended with .cn, but in the recent years, Baidu actually ranks .com website as high as .cn. So some people still say that domain names really matter in terms of SEO result, but I do see a lot of domains with .com at the end actually ranks higher. And another thing is, if on Google, when you do SEO, you do it once and it works for both PC and mobile. However, on Baidu, it's different. You have to do optimization for both PC and your mobile version as well. So mobile ranking is different from the PC ranking in China. And when you look at Baidu, another thing is it's not just a search engine, it's actually an ecosystem. It has Baidu 知道, Baidu 离线宝, and even Baidu 企业百科. These are all like, Quora like forums, or it's like B2B marketplaces within Baidu. It's not a search engine, but it belongs to the same company. So Baidu search engine, of course, prefers Baidu 知道, Baidu 离线宝. So if your brand is in Baidu 知道, Baidu 离线宝, then it means your SEO ranking will go higher because Baidu prefers Baidu. So this is just 4 quick tips for your SEO and SEM. Another thing is WeChat. It's very important that you have your WeChat account set up, not just for yourself, but also for your company. There are 2 different types, actually 3 different types of WeChat official accounts. One is service account, one is subscription account, and the last one is enterprise account. Enterprise account is usually used internally. So here is the difference I'm going to talk about is about subscription account and service account. Service account, you can only post 4 times a month, but it appears as you can see here from the screenshot, it appears in the chat flow directly. However, for for WeChat subscription accounts, it only appears under subscription folder. However, you can post daily. So that's a key difference. But if you don't have a Chinese license, you can only apply for service account. And as I mentioned, WeChat search is becoming more and more important, meaning that people can actually search for a lot of different contents in WeChat now. And because WeChat doesn't belong to Baidu, it's a closed search mechanism. So it means when you search on Baidu, you actually can't find the articles in WeChat. And when you search in WeChat, you can't find anything on Baidu. So it means basically you need to be in both places. And another very important feature about WeChat is WeChat groups. a lot of people are joining groups purely because they would like to do professional networking in China. Or you can run your own WeChat groups. The example is just one of our crayfish groups that we run. And the good thing about running your own group is that when people are joining you, they know that this is your group, and it's okay for you to post advertisements in it. When you join a professional group, there's certain courtesy you need to follow. For example, before you post advertisements, usually you need to ask the group owner, or you need to basically give out red pocket with money, with real money. So it's very convenient for you to run your own WeChat group, not just for posting advertisements, but also for you to keep the stickiness, keeping the loyalty of your clients. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is a WeChat mini program, which is basically an app that you don't have to download from the App Store, and you can just basically go through it and download it and use it within WeChat. A lot of people are using it. B2B people are using it to show the business card to them, to basically share events and activities, to share insights, and sometimes to share case studies as well. A little bit touch on Zhihu. As I mentioned, it's a platform for professionals. It has higher user profile, and people on it has clear objective. A lot of users are using Zhihu to search and ask questions relevant to their professional fields. So as you can see here, content is the king. So it's Zhihu Q&A session. Basically, people ask questions and you answer. And you can also do live broadcast. Apart from just using the live streaming tools, you can actually do content live broadcast, or you can publish your thought leadership articles. As you can see here, it's content dominant instead of all the images and videos. So it's quite useful for companies who have good taste of content. The last 3 to 4 minutes, I would like to share a case study with you. This is Caterpillar, and I know that it's a Fortune 100 companies. However, I would say kudos to them, as they are really doing a great job in Chinese digital marketing. On the left-hand side, as you can tell, I did a screenshot of their English products website and Chinese website. As you can tell the difference here. Here is images together with data and using new products, but here they're just providing a full list of their products. This is how, as I mentioned, more information compared to the English website. But once you click into it, it actually gives you a very good feeling of e-commerce look and feels. Even for their excavators, they are actually using this very B2C way of constructing sites to present their products to the customers. And also when you search for different categories, they are there for SEM and SEO. And their WeChat is actually doing a really, really good job. So firstly, they have an official account and they have 2 mini programs. One, this one, as you can tell, is almost purely focused on knowledge. You can find almost everything about their product. How do they maintain, how do you maintain your product, the after sales, and also the accessory, how do you actually get hold of them on this one. And this one, as you can tell, it's much more vibrant, much more dynamic, and it's almost like a e-commerce store where you can actually buy all the accessories. So yes, you can't buy excavators on their WeChat stores, but now you can buy almost all the accessories from their accessory stores. And this is their e-commerce. And when you go in, as you can tell, based on the location of the customer, you can directly buy the product from them, from their e-commerce website. And they are experimenting with the interactive content. On the left-hand side is just one example of their live streaming. On this live streaming, as you can tell, they were doing it in front of excavator, and the things that they sell, as you can tell here, if you can see, is £40, £50. However, they use this as an opportunity to share knowledge with their potential buyers rather than just selling. And these two people are actually their sales representatives rather than their marketing people. So the combination of it is that they have an expert and also they have a salespeople to present together to do both sales and also basically doing the knowledge sharing. And this example is a 360-degree sharing video of their product. I don't know if you can see clearly here. You can see it outside and you can see it from the inside as well. So I have to say that they are doing a really good job in terms of using the mobile experiences and also e-commerce experiences of Chinese digital marketing. A little bit of more on what we provide as Crayfish. As I mentioned, that we actually can help you doing digital marketing from the scratch, help you build your China marketing strategy to the execution, including website localization, SEO, SEM, social media, copywriting, creative design as well. The way we do it is quite different from the traditional consultancy or traditional agencies. We do it in a very standardized way or e-commerce way. Almost now, all the products that listed here, as you can tell, be it help you set up your official account, be it doing your Chinese website localization, you can purchase it on our website directly. So, there's no hidden charge, and the service providers that we select will work with you directly through us. Okay, that's it. That's my sharing for today. Hopefully, yes, sorry, I have overrun a little bit, but hopefully that gives you enough information.
You do share a lot of information. It's incredible how much you share, really. It's fantastic. Do we have any questions? If you would like to ask a question, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Have we baffled you all?
I did a really quick introduction of the last 5 to 6 slides. If anything is unclear and you want me to clarify any of those, I can do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was quite quick, some of it. So yeah, please ask for clarification anywhere if you would like to.
Hi, it's Richard Ord here. I consult with all sorts of early stage businesses. What about representation in China? How would you suggest somebody starts to build a bridge to actually sell in China, particularly if it's technical products?
So this is mainly sales rep, if I understand you correctly, right?
Well, you always have that choice. Do you sort of find a distributor? Do you recruit somebody? How do you, the heavy commitment is you recruit a team straight off, but that's quite an investment. So it's that transition from doing it remotely to having a presence.
Yes, that's actually a really good question. Traditionally, what we helped our clients to do are either help them set up in China, but that's usually when they have enough size of business in China already. And traditionally, usually this has been done in 2 ways. One is through distributors or hire a sales rep or sales agency in China. However, the issues of just using distributors or sales rep are they usually only care about how much they can sell. They care less about your brand. So there's usually sometimes the mismatch happens between the marketing and the sales. So a lot of their sales rep just go out and do the selling part. However, they are either not trained well enough to represent the brand, to build a long-term relationship with a customer, or to basically get more leads on using digital marketing world. But the good thing about doing digital marketing is you can do it here in the UK with your digital marketing team, with the help of Crayfish like us. Then you can have the sales rep on the ground running the sales for you. So that's actually a good combination that I would recommend, that you don't just hire a sales rep or distributors. You still run your marketing on the side, because you are the one who cares the most about your brand. And you know how to do it internally, and you have know-how. So that's very important that you transfer that to your Chinese market as well.
So you're in St John's Innovation Centre. Are there some of the sort of early stage companies that you represent in China or that you work with that you can talk to?
Yes, we do. We did work with several companies in St. John's Innovation Center in different stages. We worked with some of them who are actually doing the fintech part, and we helped them to build up the initial Chinese digital marketing presence in China up to the stage that it could be taken over by a Chinese local team. And we also helped some other brands just to do the content localization as well. So we are not actually representing any brands. The way that Crayfish work is different from representing. We actually use service providers or freelancers located around the globe. So we form a temporary team on behalf of the client and provide the service from that perspective.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions, anybody? Either verbally or on the chat? Right, Paul said something, so Zhao, I'll read it out. It's from Paul White. He can't use his video and microphone. I know that Chinese websites look a lot like Western websites did 15 years ago, and I was thinking the same thing. It looked like our website does. Do you think the design of Chinese websites versus Western websites will remain separate, or that as a design language evolves? Or that as design language evolves, will they conform more to Western standards?
I think that's actually another really good question. I think, yes, you are right. It looks quite like, the website 15 years ago. And that's mainly on PC end. But if you look at the mobile end, it looks almost, I wouldn't say similar, but much more advanced than the PC end. The reason for that is because Chinese people, we haven't had enough period to develop the PC end well enough than the mobile trend hitting. So we got developed much further on the mobile end. On the PC end, I still see the majority of the designs staying similar. However, there's a new trend to be cleaner, simpler, especially for tech brands. And for information websites like news website or e-commerce website, I see a clear trend of going the Western side, but I definitely see a trend of technical websites going more Western way. However, you still need more information on the Chinese website, because we actually helped one client to look at their website, and we did a small survey in Chinese audience for their website. So basically what they did was just translated the English version to the Chinese version. The feedback from the Chinese audiences were, it's very clean, it's very fresh, it's nice to look at, but it doesn't give me enough information. So I think that's rooted in culture difference rather than just a design difference. Design is just a reflection of the culture difference. So even if you just do the translation, making sure that you put more information on the page rather than just a pure translation, that would still be my feedback.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, isn't it? Because you're right, we've gone completely the opposite way and taken a lot of the information off.
Yeah.
But that brings it into the product showcases and things that you were mentioning, and people doing like short kind of webinars, I guess, to showcase their products and demo it, but also to try and have that emotional connection. So they're kind of trying other things as well, which is interesting. Do we have any more questions? Yes, Tanner.
Hi, so my name's Tamer Madi, and I'm a content marketing strategist. I do consulting. Sounds like Richard does as well, but I really thought the information that you were giving on the content requirements, the differences essentially, I thought that was really interesting. And as much as you were talking about the differences or opportunities from, say, west to east, what opportunities do you see, or maybe what sectors that would be slightly more specific from east to west? So what medium-sized, smaller-sized businesses do you see trying to create that bridge locally that might, and I'm speaking selfishly, but that might, be interested in people like me?
Yeah, traditionally, there's always, you see, the majority of Chinese exporting to the UK are, you know, physical goods, and a lot of B2B exporting discussion in China, content-wise, happening on, you know, physical goods manufacturers, and basically when you are selling, you know, physical products and importing physical products from China to the UK. However, there's new trend that we have seen in the past 4 or 5 years, where e-commerce technology companies are actually looking for exporting to China, from China to the UK. So, for example, there's one huge website called autohome.com in China. Here in the UK, it's called Yes Auto. So I think they started earlier this year or later last year. So they are the biggest second-hand sellers and also the new car seller marketplace in China. And now they're actually exporting their model to the UK, to Europe now. The same happened with TikTok, as everyone knows. So the new technology, especially the data-driven technology, because of the big data that China is able to, the big data technology that China is able to get hold of. So not a lot of, but you know, some of the big giants are doing that the other way around. And some of the creative industry started to do it this year. So we have seen some of the games company and some of the marketing agencies in China, they're actually actively looking for exporting to the UK and to Europe.
Well, thank you for your answer. That was very good. And I'll try to be in touch with you. You know, I just don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, so I'll be in touch with you if that's okay with you.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have we got any more questions at all? 11:58. Can we get a small one in? No, we're deafened by the silence, I think. And we're now getting thank yous as well. So yes, I'd like to say thank you again for an absolutely packed and informative webinar. Brilliant. Yes, somebody else has just said everything was covered. Everything. And it certainly is really food for thought. So thank you. I did write several notes just thinking, oh, we should be doing that. We should be doing that. So I think there's echoes of what's happening in China that maybe the UK will be following on with. I think it was really interesting, especially during these sort of COVID times. And so much more has gone online. So somebody asked me, and you've probably all seen, yes, we have been recording this and we'll share that with you as well, hopefully in the next 24 hours when we've processed it. So it just remains for me to say thank you very, very much, Xiao, again, for a brilliant talk. Thank you. And anybody wants to get in touch with her, please do. You have her details there. So thank you very much.
For having me today, yes. Cool. See you next time then.
Bye, everybody. Thank you very much for coming.
Bye.
Bye.